Okay, before I introduce the panelists, before we actually start asking questions, we'll make it interactive and ask you about your goals. So anytime when I ask questions, please feel free to tell us what your goals are, what you want out of South by, so we can make this conversation for you. Because I can do this in my home and interview people, but I want this useful for you. Okay? Cool. That's dark. All right. So first off, we have Paul O'Brien. Paul O'Brien, can you come here? Oh my God, he's not gonna be here. Okay. Are you sharing my stuff on live? Okay, perfect. Okay. Then next, I'll invite Katie Warner, who's taking a photo. No one wants to come on stage with me. What's the problem? Okay. And then Michael, and then Zach. Now, if you all can start coming towards the stage so I can stop doing this lunge. This is the point where I start covering it.
Sorry, just posting in my story.
No, you've got to promote. You've got to promote.
And then antisocial. Yeah, I know, right? I love it.
So we can all share mics. Me and you, Paul, can share mics. Yeah.
Share mics. Flu season is.
Oh.
Flu season. That's my first tip of South by. Don't share anything. Good job.
Right, so this is informal. Please remember that. Okay, so let's first off, before we ask these people questions, can you introduce yourself one by one for 1 to 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I know it's difficult, but you can do it.
1 to 2 words.
Hi, Paul O'Brien. I help run MediaTech Ventures. We're a venture development group, which means we work in economic development for venture funding of the media industry. So this conference that's coming up is a big deal for us. I also help Martin Martinez in the back, in the middle, with an incubator called Founder Institute, and help with Johnny on a media incubator in town that started just a few weeks ago called Collective. We love ad tech, music tech, social media kind of stuff. This is, I think, my 12th South by Southwest. I used to come here from Silicon Valley. My real affiliation with South by is that I'm on the advisory board and help coach Pitch, which is one of the accelerator pitch programs in South by Southwest. So I get to work all day Friday coaching folks so they can pitch properly. And I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Zach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cheers.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I've just been
moved.
Hello? All right, I've been moved to this side. I'm not next.
Michael's next.
What? Yes, my mic is working. Do you want to tell the story of how I came to be on this panel while I get situated? Thanks.
So,
Check.
Takes me a minute.
Did you guys see the first post about South by that I made? We had to change some guests, and I was looking for more guests. And Paul and Zach were confirmed. And I was looking for 1 to 2 more people, mostly one. And Katie said yes. And then it was 5 a.m. My screen was dark. It was black and white. And Michael messaged me on Facebook. I didn't know Michael before, and said, hey, I would love to speak at your South by, and I've been doing it for a long time. I'm awesome at it. I'm like, thanks, Michael, but I'm really looking for a woman to speak at the event. And she's like, I am a woman. You see my photo. I'm like, oh, sorry. And that's how Michael is at the event. Thank you, Michael.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, so I'm Michael Manning. I am the president at Rocksauce Studios. We are a service design, innovation, and software development company here in Austin. We've been around for about 9 years. Aside from that, I've been attending South by. This will be my 7th year. Full disclosure, have never gone unofficially. I've attended as an exhibitor, a speaker, a mentor, and as a South by Southwest interactive judge. So I don't have any real solid, I've done this before, unofficial advice, but I will nod my head if I think it feels good.
That's why we have a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
Different perspectives work.
Absolutely.
All right. Hello?
Oh, it's not
I don't know if mine's working. Hello? Oh, I'll just use yours.
Sure.
My name's Katie Warner. I'm the founder of Lucid Roots, which is a luxury lifestyle and travel collective. This will be my 12th South by. I'm actually an attorney, but 6 years ago, I quit my job to start my company, and kind of funny story to that is that I actually was on the photography crew for South by Southwest for 7 years. Prior to that, I volunteered for, I think, 2 years prior to that. So South by really was the inspiration that parlayed me into starting my startup, which I have now. I've had it for about 6 years now.
Awesome.
Well done.
My name is Zachary Zulch. I am co-founder of a magazine called Almost Real Things. It's at the front. If you came in, you probably saw it. This is our latest issue. It just made its way out of the polar
Have y'all
vortex.
seen this magazine before?
Definitely grab one on your way out. But anyway, so the magazine's all about helping creatives find resources they need to pursue their creative passions as a full-time job and not keep it as a side hobby while they work at Starbucks. So my job is kind of to be scrappy and give people opportunities and find out what those opportunities are. So bringing that to South by, all of you have way more official accolades than I do. I have never had a badge. I've only gone for 3 years, but I've seen a lot of shit in those 3 years.
Can't wait to hear about it.
So
Seriously.
It's fun either way, I think. It can be beneficial even if you don't have money.
So one of the reasons that I was talking to one of my friends saying, I need one more panelist for the panel, and Nelson said, you should talk to Zach. He would die before getting a badge. So might as well get him one. All right, so can you hear me properly on this mic? Yeah? Sweet. What up? Okay. Before I start the questions, first off, very informal. I only have 6, 7 questions. We're going to weave into conversations. You can jump in and out. I might at one point ask a question from you specifically. Feel free to jump in. Secondly, let's learn a little bit about you. So only 6, 7 people are going to actually buy a badge. Most people are unofficial, right? Cool. Shout out which part of South by you're most going to attend. Interactive, music, film. Interactive. Music. Okay, so no one cares about film. Nice.
Oh, we have a film back there.
Film. Okay, sounds good. And can someone shout out their goals with South by this year? No, it's true.
It's my day job.
Can you explain that?
Well, I'll come to South by and I'll get involved and do things and I'll forget that I got, projects.
Work.
And I keep up with the meetings that I'm supposed to be. And I'm supposed to be online, but, I'm at like this great German house party.
With beer, okay. So more goals.
Learning
Learning. What kind of learning?
from industry experts.
Okay. Great.
Oh, I thought she said flirting.
There's no, yeah.
Networking.
Yes.
They do have a bubble house. Yes.
What do you-
Very pointed, successful networking.
Focused. Right. Focused.
What's
No,
the goal
great
with the
point.
networking?
Yep. Anyone else? I'll look at you for a few seconds. It's fine.
New client acquisition.
Ooh, client acquisition? Sweet. Okay, anyone else want to jump in? Because I do want to make sure that we touch on all of these during the panel. So if you,
Learning about local Austin startups that are in their beginning stages.
awesome. Cool.
Find a job.
Find a job? Great. Anyone else?
Exposure, baby.
Exposure. Yes.
Nice.
Tough one.
We're good on goals?
I'm glad you got me.
Yeah?
The best parties.
Best parties. Cool. Cool. Okay. Sounds good. What's the most frustrating part for you for South by? And then I'll come to you.
Too many events.
Crowds.
Oh wow, everyone's okay.
It's more frustration than what they're looking for, actually. Sensing a theme here.
Getting a cold. Okay. I'm not a doctor, but I'll give you some advice. Okay. Cool. Anyone want to add something to that?
Not knowing what all of the free, non-official South by events are.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's confusing to understand exactly what it is.
Okay.
What South by is?
Yeah.
Oh, you just stole my first question.
What is it?
I would
It's a
say-
big meetup.
Okay.
I would say stress because you're so stressed that you're gonna miss something you need.
FOMO?
You miss something you need.
FOMO.
Right next to you because you're
Yeah.
stressed because you thought you were gonna miss it.
Okay. I can see you feel a lot about this. I like it. I like it.
This one's a bit of a specific one, but I think the possibilities, like the ADA is pretty lacking, because last year we actually had, one of us was on crutches
Yeah.
the entire time, and it was quite bad.
Okay. I can't solve that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that we can.
That's why we have scooters now.
Johnny, yes.
If I know somebody that I'd like to get a hold of that's coming to South by, what are some good ways that I can try to get a hold of?
Okay. So kind of the focused networking that we kind of mentioned. Okay. All right. So who wants to take a stab? What the hell is South by? What the hell with South by?
You've worked it more than I have.
Yeah.
I would say South by is kind of a couple different things happening simultaneously. So you have to get really clear on what your goal is, even if your goal is different from day to day. You have to realize that there's the official stuff that is basically a conference, and there's a lot of fun things going on, but it is at the end of the day still a conference. So there's panels and there's networking events and things like that. If that's your goal, then I mean, it definitely is worth it to get a badge. But then there's a lot of unofficial stuff going on as well. Now South by's kind of changed a lot, where even something that's unofficial still has some relationship with South by Southwest, because you can't use the terms unofficial without still working with them. But I think it's just really clear that the most important thing that I think, and this is kind of parlaying into what your question was, is to not be so overwhelmed and have that FOMO of missing out on something. It's just being completely aware that there's no way you can be at everything, even if it looks like it's really close. You never know if like something's going to be at capacity or something gets shut down or people run out of drinks or whatnot. So just really kind of, I look at it as like pretend like you're like at Disney World or something like that, and you're deciding, okay, if I could do like these 3 things today, what would those be? And kind of like break it in that way, and always have a backup plan too. And so, I mean, we can talk more about that in detail, but I think you just have to be aware that it's really more like 2 or 3 things going on at the same time. You have, in addition to the interactive, the festival, and or interactive film and music, which are all official, then you have this other layer of unofficial events going on as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great summary.
Well said. In fact, I'd only kind of elaborate on that. There's a lot of different things going on now, like eco and EDU, but if you think about what's really at the heart of South by Southwest, and the reason I kind of pointed to it in regards to what we do in MediaTech Ventures is, I think, having been at CES, having been at Disrupt, TechCrunch's things, having been at all the premier conferences in the world, South by is the absolute best experience in the world for media innovation, right? We take film and music together with interactive, and you think about what interactive did in the early years. It was Foursquare and Twitter, it's social media, right? You take everything going on in media innovation, everyone in Austin, everyone is here in Austin for that particular set of things. That's why we do it. And I agree, I break it up in this sense. Early part of it is rather local, and it actually kind of starts Wednesday before anything official goes off as far as the locals are concerned. So you plan early as local startup stuff. And then like Monday, Tuesday is local music, and then end of the week is local film. And then it all overlaps. And so you just kind of work out your schedule throughout unofficial, local, and official things with that kind of schedule in your head.
Awesome. So we're going to walk through, thank you for the summary. So now we're going to walk through the A to Z, from now to what you can do till the end of the event. So we're going to go from, if you don't know anything about South by, just a little bit how you can get to a point where you said, oh, March is done, I'm really happy I went there and I got everything I could get out of it. So first off, let's start with Zach and come here. What are your goals with South by 2019?
I think my goals are to find more opportunities with people in town, specifically connecting creative people to tech people, there's not a lot of people who go specifically for the overlap. There's a lot of people who go to the tech side of things to try to get jobs or to try to get free swag.
Free swag.
You can. So that's another one of my things. Is like, it's a game. It's how much free swag can you get, and then you just donate it at the end if you don't need like 1,000 shirts. But people like will give you a full box of shirts if you say that you're gonna go pass it out. So I don't know. That's a different story. But the goals are to meet the people who are going to help you for the rest of the year. And an interesting part of that is, for me, South by is a bunch of people pitching me. And so if you flip it on its head like that, and you just see everybody who is trying to pitch you something and trying to like get you on board with their thing, and just act interested, then you meet a lot of people who they'll just keep talking. They'll just keep talking and talking until they're bored of like their pitch, and then they'll tell you what they're really about, and why they're there, and what they're trying to do. So that's my goal, is to try to figure out who is in town looking to actually build something and connecting the pieces from there.
In your space, right?
Yeah. In the creative space, but also, I don't know, we have a lot of opportunities coming up in 2019, so.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Anyone else doing with similar goals? No one. Sweet. Okay, cool. All right.
Oh, you want me to go next? Okay.
Yes.
So for me, since I have probably like two major goals for South by. One, as since I own a luxury travel and lifestyle collective and we focus a lot on the travel and experience space, is I like to look and see what tourism boards are sponsoring events, which is huge, because it's a great way to connect with those individuals that aren't normally in Austin and be able to create preferred partnerships that later on help my clients. So that's always a big, big thing for me. That's probably my number one priority. The other thing is just from like an altruistic standpoint, I just tend to naturally be a connector, and this ends up being one of those times that like people that you never thought you'd be able to connect them to each other outside of an email, you get that opportunity. And so like the analogy, I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, I was walking over to the smart car activation that was with smart car and tiny houses and Mercedes. And I ran into a friend of mine who I knew was at South by, but I didn't know where he was. We were just at the street corner at the same time. And he's doing stuff with sustainable food. And we started talking, and it just happened to be that I was meeting up for coffee with somebody that I had been meaning to connect them for like 6 months, and it just is at the bottom of the list. It never ever happens. And so also I think finding that balance of picking out the things that are really important to me that I definitely want to go to achieve like whatever goals and make whatever connections I want, but also leaving enough time open for chance encounters, because some of those have been the best connections either I've made personally or I've been able to make, you know, for colleagues of mine and help them, you know, take their business to like another step further.
So balance of planning and just letting things happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
A friend of mine calls it South by Dippity, by the way.
Oh, I like that. That's
It's a thing. It's a thing. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
you had a question?
Yeah, how do chance encounters work? Like, do you just like brush by someone's shoulder?
Alcohol.
Or like,
Just like.
I think, I mean, have you been to South by Southwest before? Okay, it's so easy. I mean, it's literally like going to like here networking before this. I mean, people are just, it's so easy to make friends with people.
I agree, it's very friendly. I remember once I was going down an escalator and there was someone behind me, and I was bored of looking at my phone, and I just turned around and said hi, and we became friends. It's that easy. Because South by, everyone is there to meet people. So it's very friendly. It's, even without alcohol, people are friendly, because they're here for money. Okay.
Yeah, it's almost just the culture and the feeling of South by that, you know, it's even more organic than being in this networking group, because a lot of us were still, I was observing a little offstandish from talking to each other, where you're going to be in line, you're going to be in rooms a lot, even like waiting for the restroom. Sometimes I've met some really, really great connections. We follow each other on Instagram, things like that. But for me, it's about connection and inspiration. So a lot of what Katie said, meeting with people who will be my guide and my connection for the 12 plus months that we'll be connected for forever. The inspiration side of it is really taking a hard look at my goals for the year or just for life in general and curating my schedule around that. It changes day to day because things happen, things get canceled, or for some reason they just decide like 3 a.m. that they're gonna release tickets to go see Elon Musk, and you know the line's growing and you have to buy donuts to get a ticket, so that, like, I bought massive amounts of donuts to feed the people who are waiting in line to get those tickets, just to hope that someone would also let me just sit there to get a ticket. And sometimes things like that happen too, where it's like crossing the line of planning and then just going with the flow and letting go of that FOMO. Yeah. But it's all learning.
Yeah.
Dog agreed. But for me, it's really just connecting with people and then just seeking out those nuggets of inspiration, which can happen on a street corner, can happen from a panel, can happen at a party. It can really happen anywhere.
So I think it's a great question, because there's so much going on and there are so many people here that I think most important is that you focus on what you want to accomplish. So we want to accomplish, I want to accomplish 3 things. We want to focus on global connections. The fact that, frankly, we all can know each other at some point in time, right? And we do take advantage of a lot of the events in town related to South by so that we can do that. But Katie made the point, everybody's in South by from somewhere else. I want to connect with them. So the German house, the Irish house, the Mexican house, all the international events, that's where I try to get number 1. Number 2, biz dev as incredibly, insanely quickly as possible. And I say it that way because there are, I don't know, by some accounts, 200,000 people here. It's not quite that many, but there are easily tens of thousands of people here. You asked a great question about how we can get into that, but last year, the city sent us, I'm not kidding, roughly 200 emails a day of people that we needed to connect to. How on earth, do you make all those connections quickly? We raced our ass off. And mostly did it online, and we can share some of those tricks next. But the idea is not necessarily focusing on just a job or making the right connection, but rather making as many as possible because the opportunity is there to do that. And then my third objective is what I kind of call right place, right time. And so Funded House is a good example of that. It's what we're producing this year. Native this year has some exceptional events for badge holders. That's the right place, right time, because a lot of people are going to go hang out there. Fogo de Chao does an entrepreneur lounge. If you can get there, right place, right time. And I pointed out that at the beginning of the conference is something that a lot of the locals do through the Austin Technology Council. Right place, right time. Get to that event, and just about everybody in town is going to be hanging out there, kind of getting the pre-South by out of the way with the locals so that they can move on to everything else that happens during the conference. So my objective is global, biz dev with as many hands as possible, shake as many hands as possible, and then just figure out where to be to make the right connections at the right time.
Awesome. So we've set some contests of what your goals are, what their goals are, some advice peppered through. Let's talk about planning. So are you buying a badge? Unless they give it to you.
Yeah, I work with South by, so, which is a trick. If you volunteer, you can help out in South by in some way. Often you can get a badge. So I'm a part of the accelerator program, so I get one.
Okay. Yes.
I have a badge.
Sweet.
Yep.
Yes.
This year, I actually don't, because my clients who are coming in don't have badges either. And one of the things you'll kind of learn is that if you're traveling with people throughout South by, it's kind of like the least common denominator. So this will actually be my first year not to have a badge in 12 years. So it'll be interesting that approach. But
Welcome to the dark side.
I'm not gonna have one unless somebody gives me one.
As he looks over at Lily, someone give me.
What are you looking at me for? I'll look at him to get me a badge. Okay.
I now know 4 people who.
We're house divided.
Right. Yeah.
I'm reaching across the aisle.
How do you start planning? It's a month out, right? How many people here have RSVP'd for stuff?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
RSVP'd for stuff. Like, how many people have not touched anything and are like, I don't know what to do? Okay, with that context, with the mix of badge and not badges, how do you start planning right now, Zach? What do you do?
So I would start making a spreadsheet right now. My whole life during South by is a spreadsheet, and you have to just continuously filter it down. So I haven't RSVP'd for anything because nothing has actually caught my eye that's like, I know I'm going to go to that. And having been 3 years now, you kind of can tell which events are going to be like, oh, we have 100-person capacity and 400,000 people on the wait list. So you're not going to get into that one, especially without a badge and looking like I look. Because sometimes I feel like I look too young to be involved. I don't have a blazer on most of the time. So Paul's got a head up on me on the shaking hands and that.
This is for tonight.
But yeah, okay, yeah. So it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. Look the part on what you want to get into also. But planning-wise, probably next week I'll start making that spreadsheet, filtering it down, and then I'll have to combine that with 3 other ones that like friends usually make.
Wait, Zach, how do you start making that spreadsheet? How do you start populating it out?
Literally just take the event name, address, time.
From where?
The sheets by date.
Eventbrite?
From Eventbrite, Facebook, Instagram. People start pushing things out. Friend Chris Cates runs When, Where, What Austin, and they are like insane at posting just continuous feed of events, and they'll continuously do that. And then they have a spreadsheet that you can buy for $10 that has more things than you can ever even look at. Like, it's taxing just looking at the spreadsheet. So filtering that down is a huge endeavor, and that's kind of what I do. And then all of my friends just, they'll tell me about different events, and I'll make sure that I put it on the spreadsheet immediately, highlight it so I know where people that I know are going to be, because sometimes power in numbers is better than just being alone and wandering.
Loosely related thought. I go a step further and would even maybe encourage doing it. Right at the end of the day, you're trying to connect with the right people while they're here, and so we'll take that spreadsheet of things that we want to go to, and we'll publish it as a blog post of the top 10 or 20 places that we want to be, right? And you tag the moderators, you tag the speakers in your article, and you push that out to social media. They're going to connect with you then right away. The audience that's looking for that content is going to be drawn to it, because where you start, kind of your question, where you start, one, if you have a badge, certainly you just go through the official stuff, the official schedule, and you put it in that spreadsheet. The unofficial stuff is a little tougher, as Zach pointed out, right? Meetup, and you just kind of look everywhere. But my point is, once you publish something, or rather just go on Google and look for something, right? What are the best health tech events at South by this year? Somebody's probably written a little article about that, and it's a great way to find, the 10 events or the 10 people or the 10 speakers that you should definitely attend. We haven't done that yet, but we'll get to it, so stay tuned if you're interested in what we're doing.
One of the things I want to point out is like, if you have a badge or you're doing anything official, it's pretty easy to figure out, because South by already has the infrastructure on the back end to help you figure out your schedule. So for anything unofficial, regardless of whether you have a badge or not, if you're wanting to do anything unofficial, what I recommend, it's a huge time saver, it's actually cheaper than having an assistant do it, is for those of you who know what RSVPster is, you pay like $30-40, they RSVP you to all the unofficial stuff, and I would say I'd recommend picking another email address. So, this is a little trick I would say, like for example, if you have a business, probably don't want to use your Gmail account, but maybe you want to create a new account with your business domain so that they know that you're a serious networker and it has your domain. If you don't have a business, it's not a big deal. I'm just saying, if that's like your goal is to network, you may want to get like another email address with that domain of your business and have all those sent there, because you're going to get like hundreds and hundreds of confirmations. But then you'll have a spreadsheet generated for you of all things that you've been automatically RSVP'd for. You can kind of see what you want to go to. You also, it's great as like a backup. And then the things that you really, really want to go to that maybe you're worried you're not going to get like RSVP'd quickly enough, you could always like manually go to those yourself or double check and see, have I been RSVP'd to that? But the thing is that, I mean, there was a time many, many years ago where I used to try to do it all myself, and I would spend so much time doing it. And so if you can pay $30 or $40 for somebody to RSVP you to the bulk of what's out there, and then you can kind of take more the sniper approach of the things that you absolutely want to do and make sure you're on the list for those.
It's called
RSVPster.com. It's like $30 if you want to do just like interactive or music. I think it's $40 if you want to do like the whole week. And they also have like a spreadsheet I think you can buy for like $10 if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah, is that the one you buy? The $10 one? So I do both, just so I have plans on top of plans. And I start my programming the day they release their first big announcement. So I've been planning for a couple weeks at this time. I think if you're going officially and you're looking for inspiration and you're looking to connect with industry professionals, the most overlooked piece of programming is mentor opportunities. Those mentor. So you just go into the official schedule and type in mentor, or you can type in whatever keyword. Say you're looking for a job in data science. Type that in. You will be amazed at what all comes up. You have to RSVP for those slots. They do fill up quickly if they're experts in their field. And this is something I still do, 7th year in, still meet with a mentor tutoring South by Southwest. But the other ways, I've now grown to have a group and a community that all go to South by. We all look forward to it every year. So we have a couple of Facebook groups and we have a couple of chats that start spinning up around this time. So that's why it's really important to build those connections in your first year, sustain them in your second year, and by your third year, you'll be bringing people to South by Southwest. So.
Add something. Michael makes a great point.
Oh,
Mike,
you were just looking at me. I was like,
hey, what's next? Michael makes a great point about trying to figure out how to use a Facebook group or a Slack channel or whatever to connect with folks. A few years ago, GroupMe was one of the hot platforms for that. I imagine it still might be. But my trick, frankly, is I've actually found that Twitter, believe it or not, is one of the best tools if you are really sophisticated in how to use it. And what I mean is that I'll personally, on my Twitter, I'll put together a list of the people that I want to follow or the people I want to connect with at Twitter, a distinct list of just those people. And inevitably, because it's South by, I do it, inevitably people tweet where they are, right? And so the best way to kind of figure out where I should be right now is often on Twitter, right? I definitely want to find Martin Martinez, or I definitely want to find John Cesaro, right? So you put these people in a Twitter list, you pull up Twitter, somebody's tweeting right now that, hey, I'm at this thing, or I'm going to that thing next. That's where I should go. I want to follow that particular crowd.
Awesome. So kind of summarizing it, I started this year too, because last year, is anyone here a student, by the way? Oh, so UT, by any chance? Oh, sweet. So I don't know if that falls into it, but as a student, you can get a badge at $300. So it's buy one, get one, buy a badge for $600, and you get one free. If you're a student, so if you are, good luck. To summarize it, and I've been doing this for the first time, free, right? A friend started a spreadsheet with that, exactly. They just go on Eventbrite, on Facebook, anywhere, copy paste the link, say what time it is, and have you RSVP'd or not. We've got 10 people on it right now, and it can be done by anyone. If you had told me like 3 years ago that you were supposed to do that, I'd be like, fuck that, that's an event. I'm not doing it for it, but it could actually be super valuable. Okay, so we started knowing what events to go to. We've RSVP'd. What stuff should we take into be prepared before South by starts? The drinking, the charging the phone, the constantly being out. What items do you carry on yourself constantly or mentally prepared for throughout the week before you start attending? Because I know I'll have a charger and I'll be wearing comfortable boots and make sure that I'm probably going to be out 8 a.m. to 12 because I'm taking 3 days off. And then the days I'll be working, I'll be just going at 6. What things should a person have before going?
I mean, I think you nailed it all except for also just wearing layers, because that time of year is so schizophrenic. It can literally be like how this week has been, but in like an 8-hour period. It could be like 40 degrees and then like 70 degrees. And if you're doing anything inside, especially inside ACC, it's going to be super, super cold. So I would say just make sure, in addition to the comfortable footwear and the charging and all that stuff, to also make sure whatever you're wearing is something that's like, you're going to be comfortable, whether it's like raining, storming, cold, and 40 degrees, or it's like 80 degrees and sunny, because that literally can happen in like an 8-hour period during that time of year in Austin.
Definitely take the time to, and this is mostly for the ladies, make sure you're either packing another pair of shoes, let's say in your backpack, or I usually leave my car in a very close by parking garage. Not going to tell you because that's my secret. And I change, no, not free. No, I have to pay for it. But it's my place to go to like do a quick change. Change your shoes every single, like don't wear the same shoes twice, in a row, because you're going to have the blisters and everyone's going to be like, are you limping? And you're like, no, I'm not limping. I'm going to get through this day. But also just know yourself and know that you have to be fed at some point. Pick a panel or pick a venue that has lunch and they're doing a brand activation so that you can feed yourself and also make room for those connections or those inspiring moments. I've almost always said, unless I'm sponsoring the meal for a client, if you are paying for food and drink at South by, you're doing it wrong. So you can find those places. Fast Company Grill, host a free lunch every day if you're lucky to get in there, and open bar, Mexican martinis, all the way. So I would just say, make sure that you know yourself well enough to know when you need to take those breaks, but leave the room.
Yeah, Fast Company is one of those you want to write down. It's like one of the best ones.
Yeah, FC Grill 19. They opened it up a couple weeks ago, so use an official, like a company email. Hopefully that will help get you on the list. Mm-hmm.
So he said, hold the mic away because it's too loud. Now it's off. What is with this mic?
We're all gonna get the food.
So I'll be literal, because I'm like Michael, like Moby. I'm almost out 24 hours for 4 or 5 days. So bring Tylenol. Truly, I bring those little Starbucks packets that you dump in water so you can have caffeine. I bring Tums, because if you want to make the most of it, work your ass off. I'm not kidding, right? Be prepared to be there all the time. Now the more positive spin I'd put on it, even though that's positive, right? Be prepared for how hungover you're going to be. Even if you don't drink, you're going to be hungover when you work that much. The more positive spin, nail your pitch. And I don't mean that necessarily if you're a startup founder, but in shaking lots of hands really fast, appreciate two things. You got 15 seconds to get me interested to keep talking to you. And I mean 15 seconds, because there's 10 other people standing around, and I would like to meet them all, and you would like to meet them all. So be fast, be deliberate, make it valuable for everybody. And then the flip side of that coin is be comfortable when somebody kind of just moves on, because that happens, right? Try to make a connection as fast as you can, right? Give me your LinkedIn, give me your card, give me your Twitter, whatever it is. Let's talk more next week, right? Great to meet you. I want to go say hi to everybody else. Just know that that's an appropriate kind of culture for the experience, because there's so many connections to make. Work it fast, work it hard, and make the most of it.
How do you guys actually, when you meet someone, connect with them real quick at South by? Because is it going to be like a 1 minute interaction, or are people going to stay for a bit and talk
I
to you?
think it depends on how quick it happens. Sometimes I just get their business card, or we'll just cam card each other or something. But sometimes you're talking to somebody longer, and you have that ability to be like, oh, like you said, let's connect on LinkedIn. If I have the opportunity, I like to connect with people on LinkedIn because I like to stalk them and find out what else they're doing.
Yep.
I mean, not in a bad way, but learn the whole scope of who they are. But sometimes you don't have that opportunity, and so it's just what can we do to just connect right now and then circle back around later.
Totally, and I think LinkedIn is actually the best way to do it, because what I don't do is I don't accept the connect request now, so that tomorrow there's an alert there that says, hey, remember Moby connected with you yesterday, and it's the little reminder for me to do that. And it's not that hard, right? You look up my name on LinkedIn right now. I actually did it tonight with somebody who was here earlier, so I'm going to connect with them tomorrow. Great way to do it. My 15-second pitch trick. Who's seen The Princess Bride?
Yes.
If you haven't seen The Princess Bride, you probably should go home. So I like to call it the Inigo Montoya School of Networking. Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die, right? Be nice. Introduce yourself. Set expectations. And that's the trick. Set expectations. You killed my father. You got to make it about them first. And then you set the expectation. Now, prepare to die. We're going to do something, right? 5 words, whatever the heck that is. 5 words. Figure out how to nail that and set that expectation that you killed my father, even if I have no idea who you are. Figure out how to say that in a way that everybody you talk to is going to go, oh, you must be interested in who I am. It's not easy to do, but if you really figure out what you want to accomplish, you can find a way to say, you did this, or you're doing this, right? In my case, you're looking for funding. And that's the connection I want to have with folks, right? Even if you're not, somebody can say, no, I'm not. No, fine, I'll move on. Right? You're looking for funding. I work in that space. Let's talk. It makes those connections real fast and deliberate with regard to what I'm trying to accomplish.
And sometimes it's okay for people to listen to what you say and say, well, I'm not interested, and you move on because there's no point of connecting. Even though connecting with everyone does eventually become useful or entertaining at one point, it's okay to be polarizing. This is what I do, this is what I focus on, and if they're not interested, move on. Or if you're not interested, actually, how do you do that? If you're talking to somebody that you don't want to talk to.
I was actually going to say the reverse, but I'll go back to that in a second. I was going to say what I really try to do is listen to what other people are talking about before I talk about myself, because if I can listen to what they're looking for and feed into that, 9 times out of 10 there's some way you can connect with them. At least for me. I mean, every once in a while there's somebody that I have no interest in talking with them, but most of the time they're doing something. If they're there outside of just there to just drink and get free stuff, they're probably there for some reason that's interesting, and there may be somebody in my network that could be a good connection. So I really start more with listening to what the person's saying, because everybody's out there ready to pitch anyway, and I just listen, and then I find a segue into, and if it's something that I'm not particularly interested in, I might be hey, you know what, let me get your information, I really need to connect with you later, my friend Michael. And then that's great, get the contact, move on.
And to say you connect with someone and they're still in your face and talking with you, I just always make the excuse that I have somewhere else to be, because it's probably 99% true, and just, it's okay to ghost someone. They will connect with you if they're still interested, and there might be someone else that's caught your eye or something else to do. And just like you had said, sometimes people are just gonna disengage from a conversation. Don't overanalyze it. Just, be yourself and be honest about it.
The other thing is, especially in something like South by, you have people who a lot of times are like serial entrepreneurs or have been in a bunch of different spaces, and maybe what they're doing right this second isn't that interesting to you, but like there have been people I connected with 7 years ago that we connected, and now we're doing work together, and really cool, meaningful work. And if I had like blown that opportunity off and not been polite or done whatever, like that would have been such a missed opportunity. So I think also trying to realize that sometimes it's not always about if, it's about when you may connect with that person, or maybe they'll just be somebody that ends up becoming like a great referral source for you or something like that. So just also, there's a way to do it, but just do it in like a kind, polite way.
Did you want to add something to that? You just gonna nod.
I'm gonna nod.
Right, okay.
It's pretty easy to get out of a conversation with somebody. Just be like, hey, I'm thirsty. And then if they follow you to the bar, then you have like a totally different conversation to pitch with them, right? Then you understand who they are as a person instead of them like, I'm a business, hello. So, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of easy.
So anytime you want to
Walk
use that,
away,
hey, I'm
take it.
thirsty. Okay, goodbye. So we were talking about connection for a bit. I want to kind of go back to the first point that we made, which is South by is just a huge, big conference. Yes, it's cool. There's 3 tracks. A lot of people come in, but in the end, it's just connecting with people. And I'm going to ask a question about that, but everything that I've been able to do, which I'm proud of, is through a connection. I was able to interview the mayor for the first episode of my podcast because of a connection that I helped. I was able to help someone win money because they introduced me to that company that won money through a connection. Everything is through connecting, and my way is just to add them quickly. Oh, you're here on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. I add them. I get to know who they are in like a minute or two. And then I just make content that influences how they think about me, and they can reach out to me and say, hey, oh, you've been doing events. You've been doing podcasting. You've been doing this. Let me connect with you and let me work with you or something. I met a guy today who's not here, might be watching. Sup, Leo? But I saw him after 3 years, and he knows what I've been up to even after 3 years because I just make content on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn. That's a really good way to just stay connected and have people, influence people, and work with them later on. So let's just get to South by is like connection on steroids or crack or meth, whatever your favorite drug is, depends.
Gin.
Gin? Okay, it is gin, okay. Smoother, nice. What's the point of connecting with people in a business conference? Like, is this just exchange cards? What can come out of it?
I mean, I can just say what has come out of it.
Yes.
7 years in, we've landed clients, we've landed partners, we've hired employees, we've made connections that are evangelists, and we've never done business with them. Potential co-marketing efforts have come out of it. Just that's essentially what has come out of it. So it's not pointless, that's for sure.
No, I agree.
And lifelong friendships I have made at South by Southwest.
I know Tim Ferriss has a talk about South by, and he says, play the long game, which is don't be like, give me something next month. I want to be on your podcast. I want to do something with you next month. It's about the people you know for years and years. And who knows what might come out of it. Even just a nice person to know. So what's the point of connection? Anyone can jump in.
I think Michael said everything that I agree with. I mean, it's all, yeah, I remember seeing it, like, I think it was Spreadfast had a showcase one time, and it said that South by Southwest is a marathon, and I thought it was funny, like, kind of like, haha, yeah, like the week it's a marathon, but it is true, too, from a marketing yourself and networking yourself standpoint, that I just really try to go into things. It's not about if, it's about when, like, a relationship may come to fruition, and so I mean, everything that Michael has talked about, same thing. I mean, from great friendships to, amazing opportunities to great deals and hiring hiring employees and things like that. I mean, there's just the opportunities are endless, so you just may not see them right this moment.
Maybe something different to chew on. Be Austin. And what I mean by that is, if you're from New York or you're from Chicago, I spent some time in Silicon Valley. Austin is probably the most supportive and helpful community I've ever lived in. And there's something magical about portraying that and emulating that at this conference. And it occurs to me, Moby, because of your point that you were podcasting. what I've found to work for us really well is to have something to offer at the conference. And what I mean is, hey, I'm going to be at such and such. Even if it's not your thing, I'm going to be at this event tomorrow. You should come, right? Or, hey, I'm podcasting all weekend. Why don't you come check it out? Or I'm going to this happy hour. Or I'm going to the coffee on Friday morning, right? So, some way to kind of pay it forward and make it easy for all of these guests and these people unfamiliar with Austin and the conference and so forth to ease right in. There have been a couple of great articles, and I'm bragging not about myself, but Johnny just wrote one. My friend Chris Turnley in town just wrote one about how Austin has this culture of how can I help you, right? You tell me how I can help you, and that's what I want to do. Do that at South by, because I've experienced that that's what kicks off the most exceptional kind of relationships. And it's a marathon, not in the week. It's a marathon in the months following that, right? And so if you can offer something, hey, come hang out at Native with me, come hang out at Fogo with me, and I will introduce you to people, right? Or, hey, I'm writing this blog post, this article. I'm writing this article. I'm a journalist at UT who we just met tonight. I'm glad you're here. I'm writing this article. I would love to write about you at some point, right? You pay it forward, it always comes back to you.
Sorry. On that note, go ahead and I'll write this down since we're talking about that. My company actually is one of the sponsors for an unofficial showcase, so you don't need to have a badge to get in, on March 8th at Dogwood from 4 p.m. to midnight. And if you come up to me and just say like, hey, I was at the panel, I'll love to talk to you, find out what you're looking at and who I can introduce you to at the showcase that is a good fit for what you're looking for South by.
Okay, sweet. All right, so let's get to what a bunch of people also want, because connecting is great, business is great, sure. And Zach, I want to start with you. How do I get into the right parties and get some booze? Like, that's the real question. Where do I go and get food? It's like day one, and I'm like, it's 10 a.m., and I'm hungry, and I don't want to spend any money.
Yeah, it all comes down to the prep. That's kind of what we went over with the spreadsheet. You gotta, it comes down to luck a little bit with like what you chose, but chances are you've got like 8 things on that day that have food, and 4 of them look like ones that you can get into, and it's 10 a.m. Why are you awake? On the first day of South by?
I'm taking off work for this, so, you know.
Okay. All right, so it's noon, and you go to a place, and you're looking for some tacos. One thing that I found that helps is bring snacks for other people. Like if there's a line and you give people snacks, donuts, like that's how you win them over. And then you have friends for the rest of the time that you're at that event. And then you can do all the connections, build your network and like group and get people gigs, get people shows.
It's really important for the first time too.
But yeah,
first time at South by.
Just make a good impression on people. Do the Austin thing, be friendly, ask them, learn about them first, and then talk about yourself if you really need to. But yeah, most of the time you can just like pick an event.
Just on your way downtown, bring several dozen donuts, right?
Sure.
Pieces of gum might work too, you know?
That might work.
Gum
Anything might work.
works.
If you're going officially, there's a lot of opportunity for, the catered kind of stuff. There's a registrants lounge that happens at the park a little bit north of the convention center. There's some special place up on the top corner floor that's hosted. It's a Comcast. Yeah.
Oh, the Comcast Lounge?
Yeah, the Comcast Lounge, which is really accommodating as well. But like unofficially, like Fast Company always has open bar and lunch if you can get in. They have a reservation app. They change it every year just to kind of keep us guessing. So if you happen to get in or make a friend that has gotten in, figure out what that is and get your name on the list. Yeah.
No, keep going. Yeah,
That's,
that's good.
I mean, that's one piece of advice. I don't like giving away all the secrets. You got to talk after for that.
Can you tell me the parking lot? I'm kidding. Okay.
It's that one over there somewhere.
Okay,
But
sweet.
you still have to pay them.
$30 though?
There you go.
No.
Ah, see.
Okay. So, what are 3 Austin events, unofficial or official, that you can tell people right now that this might be worth it? Just 3.
The Austin Technology Council event, and they moved it this year, right? Where is it? I know they moved it this year. It's usually Wednesday night. Thursday. Is it Thursday night? See, It's all a blur because this is my 12th. That one's always exceptional for locals. Like the city attends, local VCs go, local journalists go. Look that up. Go to that if you can. Number one. Number two, Funded House. fundedhouse.com. Right? You don't have to have a badge. You do have to apply to get in, so go check that out. We're going to do it for 4 or 5 days, and so that's a great opportunity because of what we're saying. We're going to connect everybody as best we can while you're there. And then I kind of referred to it, there's this Fogo de Chao native entrepreneur kind of bridge that you want to pay attention to because folks move a little bit between those two things, and it's the best way to connect with the startup community, venture capital community. The incubators tend to all move through there. I know Mass Challenge and Founder Institute and some other incubators are hanging out at those spots. So those are the three, and the reason I pointed at Michael, I'd echo the sentiment, right? You do, to Zach's point, RSVP to everything, but then the trick is just find somebody you know at the thing, and when you show up at the thing, you just say, hey, Michael's in there, can I skip the line, can I get in? And you know, that's the quickest, fastest way to get into certain things if it's crowded.
I'm just going to say that all the time.
It's just Michael's in there. There's a lot of people named Michael walking around. I would
know
echo
who I am?
all of your events. Also, if you're a part of the UT ecosystem, they always do a great entrepreneurship night through the Macomb School. It's almost always at Speakeasy on one of the non-busy nights.
It's at Handlebar this year.
Nice.
Well, okay, well, thank you. And then there was another one, but you interrupted me. Just kidding.
Martine.
Startup Crawl actually kicks
Oh,
off.
yeah. Austin Startups,
Crawl,
yep.
And it's going to be on opening night, so everyone is going to be there. Startup Crawl. It is sponsored and put on every year by the Capital Factory, and I think Techstars is now a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty big night for
It's
Austin.
huge.
Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah, I think y'all mentioned all the ones that I was going to mention, but definitely come to ours, Open Door Showcase, on March 8th from 4 to midnight. So even if you go to the Startup Crawl, I've been telling everybody, because normally I go to the Startup Crawl, except now when we found this out, we were like, okay, well, part of my team will be at Startup Crawl at the booth. I'll be at our showcase. But definitely come by afterwards, because the Startup Crawl, I think, ends like around 10 or something. So you can come to the back end of it. Definitely Fast Company. I think that one's like one of the best for interactive. Other than the other ones that were already said, I think that's pretty much it.
He's pulling up his spreadsheet.
Yeah, I got my spreadsheet from last year. Like Monday, when it started, I have 15 things on. Tuesday, I have 15. Like Thursday, there's 43 events. 39 on Friday. So it's like, and then you have all the info that you pulled up for yourself. So the best ones last year that I found were a lot of crypto showcases.
Really?
They seem like they want to show you that they have money still and that they're not like, especially this year, I'm sure. Last year it was hyped, but this year they're like,
Buy my
look,
coin.
we're not broke yet. Look. So they'll have food. Also, don't forget about any of like the visual art showcases, because those people really want you to just like stand there, drink wine, eat snacks, and look at their artwork. And that's like the easiest thing that you can do. And a lot of the time, not very many people go to those shows. So that's a huge networking opportunity for, I don't know, if you're into visual art or mural, street art, sculpture,
Instagram.
a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
Some of the best activations I've been to, like, not even kidding, I'm just walking downtown and a door is open. It's South by. I'm hoping that I'm not walking into someone's home and they're airing out their burnt popcorn. But I've actually been to and met some pretty incredible people at some what were kind of private, but they're like, no, come on in.
Yeah.
So I've been able to stumble upon some of those visual art shows as well. Yeah.
And any of the ones that are sponsored by the tourism boards. So like if you have like the Peru, well, I don't know if they're doing this year, but like there's like the
Stole my
Peru
thunder.
House and Argentina and EU and whatever. So those, they're bringing like a ton of money in. So sometimes there'll be a portion of the time that it's just reserved for badge holders. Like you'll need to look and see what those times are. Or maybe there's certain like designated areas you can only go into. But a lot of them they're still open to some extent for unofficial or open to the public. And the other thing that was really cool, I went to the first time last year, was the South by Southwest Wellness.
Oh, yeah, the expo, yeah.
Yeah, like that's newer, but it's open to the public. It's an official event, but it's open to the public, and that's over at the Palmer Event Center. And that was really, really cool.
I thought I'd just steal the mic for one more point, which you just made, to reinforce it. One of the easiest things for us is to think outside the box about different countries, and the fact that we all have some sort of heritage, we all have some sort of history. My last name is O'Brien. I can walk into the Irish House, I can go meet the ambassador, I can go meet the consulate, and it just feels like I'm supposed to be there, right? So we've talked a bit about tech and entrepreneurship, because that's kind of our wheelhouse, but think outside the box. Where's your tribe? Go find your tribe, because they want to meet us, they want to welcome you, and they're going to make those connections really, really fast if your name is right, or your past is right, or your family tree is right, because that's kind of the point of their being here. Ireland, I know, just did a sister city relationship with Austin and Limerick, so they're going to be doing something big, if you're Irish, right? They're going to be doing something big this year. Great, we can make all those connections really fast just because of our names and our affinity for what's going on there.
Awesome. What time is it? Can anyone tell me? 7:10. 7 what? 7. Easy. All right. Okay.
We got a minute.
Perfect. Well, I want to open up the floor for Q&A, but before that, let's give a round of applause for our wonderful panelists.
I really have a question.